The devs are quitting the Diablo 4 team en masse, and because of that, the game is still unfinished. It has a massive popularity drop from when it was released, and with the constant job openings for big senior positions, you should be worried. Or maybe not. Maybe there's still some hope left, so let's see why all of the devs are leaving the Diablo 4 team. For the past couple of weeks, Rod Ferguson, the senior vice president and game manager of all Diablo titles, has been tweeting out a lot of job listings for positions on the Diablo 4 team, which normally wouldn't be anything worth talking about. This kind of stuff happens in all companies, gaming or otherwise, but what was interesting, or at least a bit worrisome, was that some of the positions were quite crucial for the development of the game. One such position was the season lead, which I think was publicized quite quickly after the season launched to a poor reception from the players. As a short footnote, the first season for Diablo 4 is meh, to say the least. So it's not the least bit surprising that they are rethinking their seasonal design to the point where fresh new talent is required to design, hopefully, the next season or the one after that. We already know that Season 1 was being worked on in conjunction with the design of the live game to an extent where they already had it mapped out before the game even released. They said as much in their live streams anyway. So any changes to Season 1 in terms of how it functions would be close to improbable, if not downright impossible. That was slightly concerning, but I suppose a bit reassuring as well. They are taking steps to remedy future seasons. Yay! Doesn't say much for what we have now, but Season 2 should be a drastic improvement from Season 1. Should being the keyword here. And the job postings keep on showing up. Stuff like class design and dungeon design stands out in conjunction with all of the class buffs and dungeon tunings we have had in the last couple of patches. Let's remember a time, less than a week ago, where sorcerers and barbarians were crap and unappealing to play in their respective stages of the game. I'm thinking me leveling my barb until level 50, or sorcerers having little to no access to actual late game without bugs and weird adjustments to their playstyle that barely let them kill Uber Lilith or even push nightmare dungeons is not good. Stuff that doesn't work for the game you made is not good. And all of the things that don't work aside, bugs and lags and glitches and mount screw-ups and crashes and memory leaks and oh, did you know some druids cannot complete their class specializations because of a quest item bug? I mean, how is that not patched overnight? How are you telling me that if I have this druid bug, I cannot play my druid for a few weeks without one of its core class functions? This is definitely not acceptable from a game this expensive made by one of the gaming industry's giants. But I'm glad we keep having store cosmetics released every other day. We are having patch 1.1.2 confirmed to release next week, fixing mostly bugs, which is something we already got used to by now, with patch 1.1.3 that addresses the questing items issues, among other things, in a few weeks. All of these issues stand to point out that the game is likely not in concordance with a lot of the devs' hopes and expectations, hence why the Diablo 4 team keeps bleeding people out, so much so that Ferguson has to tweet out that they are looking for almost entirely senior designers in a lot of the core positions of a game's design. I'm pretty sure a lot of the devs are not in favor of the lack of Diablo in Diablo 4. And I mean basic stuff like the overlay map. There are fewer dead horses beaten more with a stick than this topic, but it's such a basic and not to mention requested feature of a normal RPG, let alone a AAA, big money, Bobby bought an island with the profits game that seemed to have come out in a clear unfinished state. And the Season 1 design is only part proof of that when you see what Path of Exile 2 brings to the table and the goddamn game isn't even out yet. I'm not a big fan of Path of Exile's eccentric gameplay where my whole screen flashes and explodes like a million fireworks. But I cannot help admiring the item design, the class design. I'm sorry, classes. Yeah, more than the 5 out of the 10 total or more Diablo 4 could have just by taking stuff from their past titles. There is still hope though. Despite all of these issues, issues, the game is still doing certain things way better than many other RPGs on the market. The visuals and the sound effects are still top-notch, voice acting is peak industry standards, and the communication is open, albeit a little bit weird. Joe Shelley is likely one of the best things Diablo 4 has going for it, as one of the best people to work on it, considering what the game had before him and how he is likely cleaning up a lot of stuff. Although Season 1 is already out and cannot be changed, and other core systems were ingrained before they could be altered again, a lot of these will be improved. Let's not forget that Diablo 4 went through 2 different design iterations over the course of its development, and there is only so much Joe Shelley can do to fix it by Season 1. But we already know good things are coming later on. Don't get me wrong, it sucks it's taking so long. It sucks we don't have these at the launch of the game like we should have. But let's also remember the beginnings of Diablo 3 and the issues it had at the time. And if you don't know, then I can just say 3 words: real money trading. And the game eventually improved drastically with Reaper of Souls introducing greater rifts, bounties, and proper seasonal content. Sure, other ARPGs do the same stuff, or similarly anyway. Looking at you, PoE, love ya, but you are too arcadey for me. All in all, the Diablo team is definitely in need of new talent, and a lot of it. The massive drop in popularity was clear, and if they still want our money, which they do, don't they? Isn't that right, Bobby? You want our money, Bobby, right? Make my game good, Bobby, you greedy fuck. One of the best ways the Diablo team can improve the game is by addressing leveling, which they are a bit. Woody Joe made a good discovery with boss health not being actually tuned up as per the patch's notes. Bosses are supposed to have a lot more HP to offset the Nightmare Dungeon nerfs to their overall difficulty, which would have created a situation where you might have wanted to avoid dungeons with bosses entirely. But either the devs changed their mind, or lol, the bosses are already unintentionally bugged, you can actually blaze through them. Which is great, since it improves leveling by quite a bit in Nightmare Dungeons and might even coincide with the Uber Lilith difficulty we have been seeing from people. Joe Shelley masterfully dodged responding to the main topic of Woody Joe's suite, so I'm not sure where we stand on bosses' HP. I think I can safely assume that everyone here prefers them having less HP, considering how tedious they can be, a tediousness once again not shared by Path of Exile 2 that I cannot stop using as a comparison, and only because I love Diablo so much and wanted to learn from games that do things better. And there is more to learn about what needs to improve on leveling, since it's one of the driving factors of Diablo 4, something we have covered in this video. Once this is fixed, the game will improve drastically, so click it, watch it.